live, or do you want me to?
And we're good.
Why choose Kelly Chevrolet? We offer a wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle.
And welcome everybody to Around the Fort. It is the beginning of the 2024 season, whether we like it or not, whether we're ready for it or not. We've got a fun show for you planned tonight, everybody. I'm Casey O'Boyle with Game Night. I'm joined by the Killer Jays in studio, Jackson Geiger, Jake the Snake Smith, and then of course remote we've got Jeff Mahoney. There he is. Hi, Jeff.
How's it going, guys? And another Killer J in there with Coach Jonny.
Yeah, that's right, Coach John. And we'll get to him in a second. I just wanted to point this out. We didn't get to do this last week. If you can zoom in on that for me. Well, no, you already zoomed in, Jackson. You're good. Look at that sucker. This was autographed. This is a brand spanking new. I mean, this is as good as it gets, folks. The Huskies on the front, Northern Illinois. This is what they're going to sport this year. And on the back, it was autographed by none other than Chandler Harnish, former Norwell standout quarterback who starred at Northern Illinois. And Jordan Geely, former Bishop Luers product, is a coach there. He hooked me up with this helmet, and I'm very grateful. So thank you, Jordan. This is going to be proudly displayed, at least for tonight, right here, right next to me. I also have a helmet over by Jackson. It's a Columbia City helmet, so he's okay. Jake's a little uncomfortable. There's a lot of alien helmets by him. But next to our special guest here to our left is a defensive coordinator from Leo High School, none other than John Zolnik. John, welcome to Around the Fort.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's finally a great time to meet you guys, Jake. I've been wanting to meet you for a long time.
Heck yeah, man. Same.
You know, just the 5 minutes we had up there, man. I love what you guys do for the city. A lot of people need to start supporting the show. What you guys do and how you guys promote the kids is just awesome for the Fort Wayne market.
Well, that's humbling. Thank you for saying that. Folks, we got about 20 minutes with Johnny Z. And again, we're very grateful that you could join us tonight. Well, let's just dive right into it. You don't need to give away any trade secrets, but we got a big game coming up tomorrow night to kick off the season. The Leo Lions out at Bishop Luers. I think most people feel like it's probably the game of the week. A lot of star power on both sides. Luers, defending state champs. You guys come in after your great tournament run a year ago and a co-conference championship. From a defensive coordinator standpoint, again, I don't want Jason Dorfer sending me any text messages right now. What are a couple keys for the Lions against this Bishop Luers offense that out of the gate last year really, really struggled, but you know they're going to be a different team this year?
Sure. So that's just a great program, and we have the most respect for them. Coach Lindsay's a fabulous coach. The DC there, Carson Bradley, is a great friend of mine. Respect them completely. They got a ton of speed, and they got a lot of returning starters on the offensive front. So obviously this week, the game plan was obviously control the speed, keep everything in front of us. Not going to give away too much, but they do have a lot of talent on the outside. I believe they return all of their DBs.
All and then some.
And then some, yeah.
And then, the Felger kid, who's kind of a hybrid type sorts. Yep. So, yeah, they're loaded on the back end.
Yeah, they got just tremendous talent, and they end up getting the transfer from Bluffton Eskridge, who will play defensive end and some tight end. So we had to prepare for him at tight end, too.
Did you watch some Bluffton film for that?
I did not, no.
Okay.
No.
Maybe the offensive coaches might have. I would think just from the standpoint of, hey, what can he do?
Sure.
He's a big boy, and he moves pretty well.
Yep.
And so that's definitely an upgrade for the Knights. Jake, what do you got for him?
So without giving too much away, Coach, if there's one position group offensively that you're going to see, what is most worrisome to you about the Bishop Luers offense?
Easily the wide receivers. They just got speed, and they return Jalen White and they return Surrey, and they have Woodson in the slot. Just talent all over the field. So again, it's controlling that speed, keeping them in front of us, and so forth, and hopefully try to get their new quarterback to make mistakes to, make this an interesting ball game.
Right. Jeff B, hold your question real quick here, because I've got a question I think is pertinent here. How do you prepare as a defensive coordinator in week 1 for a quarterback? Because that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Typically, that you haven't seen before. That wasn't the quarterback a year ago, because McKenzie, of course, is gone for Bishop Luers this year, right? That's a bit of an unknown. I'm sure there's scrimmages and things like that, but is that all you have?
That's all we got. So like we got their scrimmage tape and they got ours, right? And they were showing 2 quarterbacks, and you see strengths out of both of them, and you see a couple weaknesses out of both of them, but you don't know who's going to start. So you kind of had to have a game plan A and a game plan B just to see which one starts on Friday night.
Yeah.
But you don't have a lot of film. So it's kind of one of those, you got to make adjustments right there on the spot on a Friday night.
Are they similar? Devin Patterson and Jace White are the 2 QBs you're speaking of, right, for Bishop Luers. They're both juniors. Patterson is 5'9", 171, and Jace White is 6'1", 145. So obviously a different build. Are you expecting one or the other, or do you think they might even play both?
That's a good question. I think it's a toss-up. I think they might play both. One has very good mobile skills, and the other one's got a pretty big arm.
Okay.
So depending on what they want to do offensively, I would say they probably mix it up.
Excellent.
Yep.
Jeff, what do you got for Johnny Z?
Yeah, Coach. Obviously a great year last year for Brock Schott with 32 tackles for a loss and 19 sacks. The first question is just how in awe were you of the season he had defensively last year? And can you compare that to anybody that maybe you played with or that you've coached in the past? That kind of production?
Yeah, so 2 guys that he reminded me of that I played against was Travis Craven from Snyder.
Oh, I love Travis Craven.
Absolute monster.
Yeah.
And then also he has the speed and ability like Josh Gaines coming off the edge at Northrop. And I played against Penn State.
Yeah.
And I played against both those guys. And I've been coaching for about a decade now, and Brock Schott is probably the best defensive player that I've ever coached.
Wow.
Just how he's able to lock in, the amount of time he puts into film, the amount of time he puts in the weight room. He's going to be something special at the next level, and it's going to be a very exciting senior year for him.
And they're recruiting him as a tight end. Am I?
Yeah,
so
I'm biased, right? Like I want his hand in the dirt at the next level.
19 sacks.
Right.
Yeah.
But he loves getting the ball, and he wants to play tight end, and I'll support him if that's what he wants to do. But me personally, I would love to see him chase quarterbacks.
A year from now, are you going to be depressed? I mean, is that a fair statement? I mean, because you've had him for a while now, and he's just been amazing.
Yeah, we started him as a sophomore, and yeah, I mean, there'll be a little depression there because you only get a player like that once in a lifetime, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Can you talk about Landon Hepner a little bit? What do you like about him? I really love the tape that he puts down. I think that he's probably more of a safety in the collegiate level. Don't know your thoughts on that, but can you tell us a little bit about Hepner and what you like about him?
Yeah, Landon Hepner, another great young man. To me, he's a hidden gem here in Northeast Indiana.
I agree with that.
I think he can go even bigger than Army. The speed,
like Navy? Sorry, couldn't help myself.
The speed that he has is so phenomenal to watch. He can change a game like that. Like say you're down 2 touchdowns and someone punts it to him or kicks it to him. Just the momentum change that he can bring to a game is just awesome.
Is he going to fill that role that Caden Hurst had a year ago, as far as your return guy, that home run guy, you think?
Yeah, he was back there for kick return, punt return last year
Sure.
with him. He'll definitely be our guy.
Right.
But again, the amount of work that he puts in the off season, and don't forget, he's a baseball stud too.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked that he didn't go somewhere for baseball as well. So his hand-eye coordination is through the roof. But him as a DB, and that's what he's getting recruited for Army to play defense, just his lockdown skills and be able to turn on a dime is just so impressive to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest, I would say, hurdle for him the last few years was turning into that captain role and being more vocal. And he's done that all summer long and here in the fall now, is be a leader and just be a senior and a captain.
Yeah.
Yep.
No doubt about it. Folks, if you're now just tuning in to Around the Fort, we've got Leo defensive coordinator John Zolnik down in the cave. Coach, tell our viewers a little bit about your background, where you played. You're a local player, and your high school career, and then after that, and then, of course, how you got your start as a coach and ended up at Leo.
Sure. So originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana, went to St. Vincent de Paul here right down the street.
Panthers.
Yep. Then went to Bishop Luers High School and played all sports, football, basketball, track. After high school, went to University of Indianapolis to play college football. And then that was short-lived. And then I took a pretty long break from football in general, as far as, going to games and all that stuff, because life got crazy, right? You're getting out of college, all the job opportunities, like you just don't have time for it. Well, I went to one of my buddy's games on a Friday night. He was coaching for Chatard down in Indianapolis, and you just start to get the feel for it again. And then I ended up moving to California, and I went and kind of shadowed a high school team there in San Diego. Once that time was done, my wife got new orders. She was a dentist in the Navy. So we moved to South Carolina, and I jumped on with an football academy down there. And when I jumped on, they haven't won a game in 7 years. And when we got there, we kind of revamped the whole program, and we ended up winning 7 games that year and got them playoff bound first time in 7 years.
Fun.
Second year, go to state. Third year, they win it. And then again, she was done with her service with the Navy. So we decided to move home, because this is a great place to raise your family in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And it's been just a great fit. And then when I moved home, I interviewed with Bishop Dwenger, with Northrop, with Concordia and Snyder, and Coach Dorfler and I, we just clicked, and just reminiscing on the old times when him and I played against each other, because he's a grade below me. And what was really cool about him was that he gave me the green light to beat me. Right. A lot of where I was coaching at before, it's like, it's a yes mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice is not heard. Coach Dorfler is very, very good at letting his coaches speak up and be themselves, so that you can run what you want to run as far as defense
and offer input.
Yep.
That's so important.
Yep.
Very nice. So it was an easy transition for you then when he took the job over at Leo. Is that safe to say?
Oh yeah. Yep. So as soon as he got the job over there, me and Coach Newman, who's my linebackers coach, we went over there with him. And so just a little bit about the Leo community. They're so supportive. And once we got there, it felt like home. What we had to deal with at Northrop, and we really turned that program around. We were winning 5 and 6 games.
Right.
And we beat Homestead first time in school history, took Snyder to the brink in the playoffs on 4th down,
Mm-hmm.
just had some big wins. We beat Northside with Deuce and all those guys. And then we go to Leo, and in our second year, we take the school furthest since 2011, which was pretty special.
And that was a great, great team under Jared Souter. Yep. A few more minutes here, Jeff. I'll let you chime in here in a second, but I wanted to ask, let's flip to the other side of the ball. Leo is also breaking in a new QB, Grayson Esquera.
Yep.
Is that how you pronounce that right? He's a junior as well. We know he can sling it. He's very, very talented. But that defense, we already talked about it for Bishop Luers. I mean, they are sneaky fast.
Yep.
They break on the ball. I'm sure there's some things there that coaches see on film that they think maybe, a little pump, fake, and go type situation. There could be opportunities there, but you also don't want to get too cute with a brand new starting quarterback. Any thoughts on that dynamic for tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, I think the growth from June until now, Grayson Esquera has really grown up. I mean, he controls the huddle. He's telling guys where to go. In June and July, that was kind of, like a learning curve for him. But Coach Dorfler does such a great job with quarterbacks. Like what he was able to do with Kyler Decker last year was amazing. And I'm pretty confident that Grayson can, take over that QB1 role and take us pretty far. Is Friday going to be a learning experience for him? Sure. I mean,
there will be for everybody.
They're probably going to play cover 0, right? They got the speed of their returning starters. And now
press right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
yep.
They're going to press, and it's going to be it's going to be a fun night for him. Which once he gets out of that game and he shows that he can compete and he can throw against those guys, sky's the limit for him.
Jeff, you got another question for Coach?
Yeah, Coach. Last year, hearing other coaches talk about Brock and what he brings from the defensive end position. As a defensive coordinator, you got a defensive lineman that can shut down half the field. How does that change things up for you as far as personnel and kind of how you're able to work to that strength?
Yeah, so a lot of the time you'll see a lot of offensive coordinators on the sideline check away from him. So we have to put in something where we're blitzing from the other way or move him around. He doesn't go to the strength because we basically make him a hybrid defensive end. He can go wherever he wants to because any coach that is smart is going to check away from number 9 on the other side of the field because to me, he's unblockable. You can double team him, triple team him. And I would call an audible if I was an OC. Like, we're not running sweep to 9 side. We're going to go this way. Right.
We'll run away from him.
So you got to have, something in the pipeline that's going to, counteract that with them running opposite of him as far as having your next best athlete, maybe as an overhang, as an outside linebacker and so forth.
Right. Well, tomorrow night's going to be a lot of fun. We'll bring back some memories from you as a player at Bishop Luers, and then of course during your years in the SAC. I mean, I'm sure you're excited and licking your chops to go back to venerable Luers Field.
Oh yeah. So, and that's what we expressed to our players this whole week. Like, playing at Luers Stadium is a sight to see, right? They have their traditions, right? The crowd is amazing. The energy that these guys will feel on a Friday night is kind of the same energy that they feel in Leo because there's a great community there. But it's different. There's a different feel there. And I've lived it and I played it. And I just remember my senior year, I played for Dwenger. It's a rivalry, right? They turned the sprinklers on us.
Oh yeah. I remember the sprinkler game.
And lights went out, sprinklers are on. It's like, okay, here we go.
Yes.
Right. So you had that bad blood between the Catholics, right? But no, this is pretty cool for the Leo Lions to go down there and experience that on a Friday night.
That'll be a lot of fun.
So we've talked about some big names you have defensively. Let's give us a name of a player that we maybe aren't looking, in the big press on, but is somebody that you think is going to have a lights out season for you and contribute well for you.
Jared Jasper at outside linebacker. He's a senior. He was a starter last year. He started after week 3. We made an adjustment as far as personnel. He ended up having 7 sacks last year. And he's just got a nose for the football. I mean, he has a motor, works hard. He's kind of like our character on that side of the ball, right? Funny, this and that, but when the chin strap snaps, I mean, he's all in. So I would say Jared Jasper as far as defensive player.
It's a good one. You also, Coach, mentioned Rashad Martin, right?
Yes.
Little brother of somebody, a famous Leo grad. Tell our viewers about that.
Yeah, so Rashad Martin, his older brother plays for Rutgers. And right now,
DJ.
DJ Allen. And right now he is playing defensive end / outside linebacker for us. And he has grown exceptionally well since June. It's a brand new position for him. And the speed that he has off the outside of the ball is really fun to watch. And he also plays running back for us too. So he has that type of speed. But he's also very physical in the weight room. And they're going to see on Friday night just how quick he is off the ball.
Well, he's 6 foot 195. At least that's what he's listed. He's not 6'7" like his big brother.
No, he didn't get the height,
but he still plays defensive end. And that's kind of where DJ made his noise here locally. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight in the cave. It was a real pleasure. We'll have you down again, and you're going to have to let me take you out for dinner here soon.
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to take a short break. That was Coach Jonny Zolnik, defensive coordinator from Leo High School. Snake's going to run him upstairs. Don't forget your coffee.
Yep, I got you.
All right, and we'll be back in about a minute. Stay tuned. And everybody, Snake is still not back. He's slithering. I can hear him upstairs. He's slithering. The deaf one hasn't spotted him yet. She'll be barking here probably shortly. But that was a great interview, Jeff. What are your thoughts? I mean, I think Jonny Z, I mean, we knew a few years ago what a good coach he was for Coach Dorfler out at Northrop, and it was a no-brainer when Jason got the job out at Leo.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, success definitely seems to follow him. And last year, getting that sectional, I think it was the third sectional in the school's history, which is really crazy to think about how successful that program has been. But yeah, you feel like I don't know that many schools lost as much as Leo lost last year, with just so many great seniors that they have to replace. But then bringing back Landon Hepner and Brock Schott, I mean, you can't have two better foundational pieces than that. So it's going to be interesting. I love that he mentioned Jasper, the outside linebacker, who really came on late towards the end of the season. Remember, the injury to Fuller left a little bit of void at running back and linebacker. And I thought Jasper was excellent towards the end of the season. So,
yes,
boy, is this a great matchup with Leo heading over to Bishop Luers. Splitting up the SAC into the two divisions. These are the kind of matchups that you wanted to see, Casey.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at least from a game night perspective, when teams play outside the area, it's hard for us to do a whole lot with our format, even though some of those games are still very, very compelling. But yeah, for my money, sign me up for a Leo Bishop Luers, or next week East Noble Snyder, that kind of thing. I love the intra game night affairs, if you will, that involve two local teams that traditionally maybe haven't played each other, and I just think it makes for a lot of excitement here in the 260. So let's thank you, Jake. Jake moves better than I do, everybody. That's why
I don't know if I do. We got an injury timeout here.
What happened?
Just ripped my finger open on something. It's no big deal. We're gonna power through it.
Oh, my mercy. Guys,
IHSA rules say that I've got to take a play off because of blood, but we'll be all right.
Yeah. Archie, give him, clean him up. Are you okay?
I'm good.
Man, you're so tough. All right, why don't we jump in, Jeff, if we can, and discuss a little bit the PT 40. I mean, I know that generates a lot of discussion every year. There's the cover, and then on the center spread is all the pictures. We can kind of just whip through that, guys, and spend maybe 7 or 8 minutes. And I'm always curious about I always feel bad. I say it every year about the kids that don't make it, because invariably there's a bunch, and this year is no different. It's talent laden. I think I counted up today. At least 22 or 23 kids of these 40 already have Division I offers, which is remarkable.
Pretty remarkable, yeah.
And they're guys that will play Division I football that aren't on here, like a Braden Holbrook from Lakeland. I don't need 3 quarterbacks. Last year we only had one. It was Jimmy Sullivan was the only quarterback on the team last year. And so this year it was Jimmy Sullivan and Michael White from Homestead. White during the offseason, during the 7-on-7 circuit, generated a lot of buzz. And I think there's some Big Ten schools, Wisconsin most notably, that might offer him soon. But Braden Holbrook out at Lakeland is very deserving. And there's others. I don't know, Jeff, if you had a chance to peruse this yet and had any thoughts on this year's PT 40.
Oh man, it looks great, Casey. As always, you're finding the top talent in the 260. I'm thinking of some sophomores that are really gonna shine this year. The first name that I think of is Caleb Kingley over at Northside, Leslie Woodson at Northside, some of the younger guys. But other than that, this looks great.
Yeah, I'm sure these are all juniors and seniors. So it's definitely top heavy on the upperclassmen. And as we put this together, you guys know me well enough. I really try to, with the coaches' help and others put in their 2 cents, and trying to put together almost like a 2 deep, if you will, and make sure that I've got all the bases covered. Calder Hefty from Garrett being like a safety, but if we're in a pickle and our top 2 quarterbacks go down, he can step in and be more than serviceable. So there's, we've got plenty of linemen. We've got guys at all 3 levels on defense. Is it a little top heavy, maybe on receiver and linebacker? Perhaps. But we also give, I think, deference to some of the guys that play both sides of the ball too, especially when they're studs like a Brock Schott, no brainers like that. But It's a lot of fun. Jake, I know you had a chance to look at it. You and Archie were talking about it earlier. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a great mix. Like you said, you're kind of almost making it like a 2 deep roster, and very nice mix of skill position athletes. Got some trench warfare players down in there in the bottom right, which I like to see. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you missed a whole lot with that one, Case. I think it looks great.
Yeah, there's a handful of guys that, man, the hardest part is literally the last 4 or 5 spots. And I toil and I toil and I toil. I probably spend more time on it than I should, truthfully. And I send a lot of text messages and emails to coaches about their kids, but also about other kids that they coach against. And I take a lot of their input, but it's, it is what it is. There's some returning guys on there for sure that made it last year, or certainly made our postseason poster. But man, there's some really good guys like a James Early from Northside, that really until last year was kind of, a little bit off the radar. He's a big guy and he's got a lot of talent, but he's getting D1 offers now to play defensive end. I like the cover too, Jeff. I know I gave you guys a glimpse of that last week. It was fun to put those 5 guys on just from the standpoint of, these aren't necessarily our elite programs, if you will, but they're all good programs. These are all kids that are deserving to be on the PT40, but they're not necessarily D1 slam dunks. Sure. I think, Charlie Riddle there on the right, the big lineman from Heritage, who is massive. He gained about 35 pounds of muscle, and he looked at the photo shoot. He's got offers, I think, to Indiana State and some schools like that, and may go the track route. A little bit like some of these big guys have done here in recent years, like our friend from Eastside, Caden Hinkle there in the middle. What a year he had last year. I would not be surprised if he rushed for over 2,000 yards this year. I mean, you talk about a north-south runner. Seth Pruitt, probably going to take big brother Brandon's record here fairly soon in the 2024 season and for touchdown runs. Kamar Nelson, how's that kid not have D1 offers? He's got a 2.9 GPA, Coach Sherwood Haydock told me. So grades are not an issue. People need to get on that kid because he is a playmaker on both sides of the ball, but I think especially as a linebacker. And then, of course, Avery Cook, who blew up last year and had such a tremendous year for that Concordia offense, for a Concordia team that, let's face it, really struggled and by Concordia standards. And but he's back this year. So all these guys, I'd love to see them all get more offers than they currently have on the table. What are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't even know if like a guy like Seth Pruitt really wants to even play at the next level, but I'm really excited for what he's going to bring to the West Noble Chargers this year. You remember heading into his junior year, I mean, he was sick and really didn't get to train a whole lot during the summer. So if he comes into his senior year 100%, he could really smash that record. But yeah, you got some good ones here. Kamar Nelson definitely looks the role. He definitely looks like a college football player.
Yeah, and even though he's nasty and he likes playing between the tackles as an inside guy, I would see him more as an outside linebacker with the ability to cover and stretch, horizontally sideline to sideline because he can close and he just absolutely loves to hit. So really excited to see all these guys play. They're all healthy and I think they're all going to do damage, as will everybody on the PT40 and truthfully, several hundred players here in Northeast Indiana. We're going to have a fun season. Well, thank you, Jeff, for popping those up. And guys, thank you for your 2 cents there. Let's just go talk briefly about the game of the week, maybe about 5 minutes, Jackson, if you would. I'll go ahead and start with it. Leo and Jeff, you can chime in if you have any thoughts here. We just had Coach Jonny Zolnik, defensive coordinator from Leo, down, Jake. Great interview. He's done a tremendous job here locally as a DC.
Definitely.
Bishop Luers, a bit of an enigma, new quarterback. A lot of those young guys that are known for their defensive prowess are going to have to play bigger roles on offense this year, but they got tons of speed. But you also know Kyle Lindsey is going to want to try to establish the run if he can. And I think that could be a tall task, especially with a guy like Brock Schott taking away half the field. What are your general thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I think the game's just going to come down to which quarterback can take the pressure. You got two new guys started on both sides of the ball, respectively, for Leo and for the Knights. Obviously, when you're looking at the D1 talent that's going to be on the field, there's an awful lot of it. And I think that the key to the game for me is just for Schott and for Hepner to get their looks when needed and kind of elevate the Lions over. And I think that just the athleticism, just the overall playmakers that Leo has on that side of the ball defensively, I think is going to be a little much for Luers to overcome. But again, I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I think just like last season, a lot of people undervalued Luers going into week one, and going into weeks 2 and 3 kind of started to surprise some people and had a great season. So I think it's going to just come down defensively to Schott and Hepner and just handling their business.
Well, that long playoff run for both teams, but I think especially for Luers,
yes,
they should get out of the gate, I would think, a little quicker this year.
You would feel like they would.
As an offensive-minded guy, which you are, for your money, especially breaking in a new quarterback like Escara is, the junior out at Leo, are you putting Schott and Hepner on the same side of the field or opposite sides of the field? And where do you see an advantage there, especially knowing all the speed and experience that Luers is bringing back in that secondary?
So I'm going to put Hepner best on best. Whoever Luers brings out as their X receiver, that's who I'm putting Hepner over. I'm going to keep him probably in man situations a lot. And then I'm just going to let Schott completely wreak havoc. Looking at it from like a Luers side, trying to get that running game going, my best case scenario is getting a tight end, getting another hat on Schott, so I'm doubling him as much as possible. And I'm probably going to try to run a lot of counter. I want to get something moving towards Schott and then quickly away from him.
Which Luers does. Yeah,
definitely. Counter tray is their bread and butter. Like Coach said, it's the easiest thing in the world to do is just crack toss or toss sweep away from Schott and try to run away from him. But there's a lot of speed on that Leo defense. There's a lot of speed with Luers too. I think that this is definitely the game of the week. A lot of fast play are going to happen on both sides of the ball, and I mean, it's a one-score game to me either way it goes.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Jeff, you got a couple things you want to add real quick before we move on to the next one?
Heading into the summer, having watched a little bit of the Luers guys at different 7-on-7s and things of that nature, man, I really think that Luers might be the best team in Northeast Indiana, just bringing back so much talent. When you look at Jalen White kind of heading it up in the backfield there, yeah, the question's going to be the O-line, D-line, and how much they can get protection for their quarterbacks. I mean, you got two quarterbacks, Casey, that I feel like could start for a majority of the teams in the 260. I mean, both of these guys, it's like 1A, 1B. So you got to believe that they're going to be doing a platooning system where we're going to see Devin maybe in the first quarter, Jace maybe in the second, or maybe they switch off every series. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that works out. And you would think that might be controversial or might, kind of hurt the locker room. But from what I understand, those two guys are great friends. They cheer each other on. And it sounds like it's going to be a fun competition to watch, that quarterback competition at Luers. But this game is going to be amazing. I would love to see it. Unfortunately, we will not be at Luers covering it. But this is going to be a good game. I would give the edge to Luers.
It's going to be a fun one for sure. Yeah, Devin Patterson, Jace White, the two junior quarterbacks. And it's interesting you brought that up, Jeff, because I think Johnny Z a little bit ago, I think he thinks that they're going to play both guys as well. So that'll be a subplot for us to keep an eye on. All right, guys, let's get out of this one. Go to the second game on the docket. New Haven at Northrop. Jackson, you give me 4 minutes here. Jeff, I'm going to come right back to you. This is one of your games. The Bulldogs graduated a ton at Northrop, and man, you just feel like, is this the year that maybe Northrop under Coach Q, do they turn the corner with that potentially prolific passing attack? Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know how much they turn the corner. I do think they win this game right here. New Haven just lost way too much. Their returner with probably the most experience is the defensive lineman, offensive lineman. His name escapes me right now.
Charles McGrant.
Yes, Charles McGrant. He's a great player for them, and I know that he's getting college looks. But boy, you sure do lose a lot, including your head coach right before the season starts. And then with Jerquadian Guilford, I pulled it up here, but right now he ranks number 2 in the state. The wide receiver from Northrop. They had some wide receivers that have transferred in from out of state. Plus with David Collison, getting healthy. Hopefully this is the year where they really break through. You look at their linebacker and Don Larice Jr., that sophomore class last year was a really good class for Northrop. They're all juniors now. So I definitely think they take the next step. But I don't know that necessarily equates to competing in the big school division for an SAC championship this year.
Well, maybe not a championship, but maybe just certainly more competitive. I think we'll find out a lot tomorrow night how they fare in this game. Charles McGrant made our PT 40, Jeff. He squats almost 600 pounds. I do as well. And he deadlifts another 5.5 bills. I just wanted to give big Charles McGrant a shout out. Jake, we got about a minute. Talk a little bit about New Haven, if you could.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is I've always said that I think New Haven has needed a youthful coach. I don't know what it is about that program, but just being a Columbia City guy, they are always athletic. They're always fast, and they've always got good quarterback play. They just got to be able to put it together. And I probably preach it way more than I should, but special teams wins football games, and their Achilles heel has always been the third phase. You get a young coach in there with fresh ideology that can get these guys to buy in. And I think New Haven can have something. Yeah, it's going to be tough, week 1, year 1, when you just got handed the job a couple of weeks ago.
And especially with the departures.
Yes.
Graduation.
Get your buy-in now and get the early licks out of the way so you can make a little bit of a run later in the season.
And that new coach is, everybody, Vance Shear, who's a New Haven grad. About 10, 12 years ago, I believe he was the quarterback out at New Haven. And he's been an assistant here in more recent years. He's a New Haven guy. But I love him. I think Vance is going to be a great hire. They may take their lumps this year because, again, graduation took its toll. But I think he's the right selection. I think through and through a New Haven guy. I think no problem for the Bulldogs in a few years. We'll forget all about this transition. But this could be a tough sledding out of the gate, at least this first year for Coach Shear. All right, guys, let's jump out of this one. Jake and Jeff, I'm going to let you talk about this one. About 3 minutes, Jackson, if you would, on the clock. We got Belmont at Heritage. Jeff, why don't you start?
Yeah, I don't think Heritage is going to take too much of a step back, losing their quarterback from a year ago. Eli Tagulis, obviously the son of a coach, did a great job at wide receiver last year, should be taking over the helms at quarterback. And, Coach Kalkman really passing the torch. I mean, he did not leave the cupboard bare. He did a great job of building up that program to where I think when Kobe Myers was a freshman, they had 12 kids come out for the team. And by the time he was a senior, they had, I think, like 24, 26 seniors there. So they're bringing it back at Heritage, making football fun again, getting kids out. And I think they're going to have a heck of a year. As far as Belmont is concerned, still a process there. I love that you highlighted Gavin Kroll here, whose dad, Craig, is the volleyball coach, led that volleyball team to a state runner-up finish last year. I think that it's going to be interesting, and a guy like this right here, Kroll, could help them kind of flip the switch and get over that bump there of those winless seasons.
Jake, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was nice having a little interaction there with Gavin on X here a second ago. He must be tuning in or tweeting towards us. With that, for me, obviously this is an uphill battle for Belmont right off the clip. Heritage should obviously win this game handedly, and so be it. But for me, for Belmont, you have to start the season off with a building block. Let's get into this game and show everything positive that we can. Let's establish a good run defense. Let's establish what our identity is so we can turn this thing around, because how quickly one win can turn into two can change your program around. And we've talked about it so many times. When you just go in and out of losing season after losing season, for Belmont to get a win this season could just be the elite spark that they need to finally take a step and then fire off 2 or 3 wins in games that maybe they weren't supposed to win. And Coach Hall, I know he's working his tail off up there to make it happen.
I love
And
Nick Hall.
yeah,
He's a great guy.
he's the guy for the job at Belmont. And I hope that they stick with him. I hope that they give him the chance. I know he's had 5 or 6 seasons up there, but you've got to let a Belmont guy do his thing and get these kids to continue buying in. You know, look at the Dylan Valise kid from last season and how much of a beast he was. They need more than one guy to buy in like that, and I think it's going to start happening for them. And take that poster board material of all of us media guys talking about, oh, you know, they haven't won. Use that to your advantage and go out there and smack one of these early teams in the mouth, get in that winners column on one, and just see where the season takes you from there.
Yeah, play with an edge. And here's a little note here, and we put this in game night this week. It's the largest freshman class they've had since 2009 down in Belmont.
That's big.
And because of that, it's the first time, Jeff, that they've had a full freshman schedule since 2009. Hard to win when your freshmen aren't getting reps, or if they are, you know, they're as backups on the JV landscape, and then you lose guys that way. So I think that's a good sign for the future of Belmont football.
That's great to hear. And Casey, I've been hearing that around a lot of the programs that, you know, they're getting more and more kids coming out to play football where maybe 10 years ago, you didn't see a freshman, a JV, and a varsity at a lot of schools. And Casey, I will say this about Belmont. They have beautiful facilities there.
They do.
They will get it turned around to where they were 10 years ago.
I agree. All right, let's get out of here. Give us about maybe 3.5, 4 minutes, Jackson, on this. DeKalb at Angola. Jake, you and I are going to tackle this one. I'll let you kind of start. I know you're kind of excited a little bit about DeKalb football, even with your CC colors on.
Absolutely. Now, I obviously hope they don't beat the Eagles this year, but that's just bias. So the thing that I like with the Barons is year in and year out, they have skill position players, and this year's no different. And I do love their tenacity to run the football. Obviously, I think Hinkle's is gonna get his touches and do a great job. So I think that this game is definitely gonna start off in DeKalb's favor. I think Angola, maybe as much as they don't want to, takes a step back this season a little bit. But I think the Barons are going to come out correct, and I think that DeKalb should be considered the sleeper team in the NE8.
Oh, that's interesting. I will say about this matchup, it always seems like, even, you know, whether it's DeKalb or somebody else, when somebody looks on paper to be so much better than Angola, Coach Thomas up there in Angola somehow puts together a game plan and keeps games closer than you would expect. I don't know how that is, but he's a really good coach.
Week one, they play tough every year.
Yeah, and because I agree on paper. I think, you know, if you're just looking at these, I think DeKalb's got to. It feels like a 3 or 4 score favorite, but I would not be surprised at all if this is a dogfight. And they've played every year, I believe, for 11 years in a row to open the season. There have been 3 playoff games during that time, and DeKalb's 7-6. So the games have been very, very competitive. I just want to throw a few names out for the Barons. Will Weber, of course, the nephew of Brad Weber, is back at quarterback. I think he could have a sneaky good season, especially if people start putting so much emphasis on slowing down Caden Hinkle. Xavier Bell, the junior receiver, a PT 40 selection. This is a really good athlete that I think can play at the next level. Somebody that you need to probably put on your snake eyes
absolutely
chart. And then another name I want, Max Brockhouse, big beast at offensive tackle, and opposite him, Nick Lay. Nick Lay has been starting there since he was a freshman.
He's been starting there for 10 years, it feels like.
Mostly like as a defensive end.
Yeah.
And so Nick Lay is a really, really good football player. Gabe Gillespie's another one. A lot of these guys have to play both ways, and they don't have a ton of speed in the secondary, but guys like Brady Culler and AJ Ross, along with Xavier Bell, give them just enough athletes, Jeff, to be dangerous.
Yeah, no, they're doing good things over there, and the stadium looks outstanding in DeKalb. They're turning it around. The community's starting to support it.
Yeah, Coach Wilcox is doing a nice job, you know, and you can see the record and just the continuity of since he's been there. They're just really, it looks like he's putting those building blocks together, and we're going to look back maybe in 5 or 6 years and be like, wow, we witnessed this from the ground up. All right.
Casey, is that game at DeKalb or is that at Angola?
That's at Angola.
Okay.
Yes, I hope so, because that's where a couple bundles of game night got delivered last night at midnight.
Got it.
There we go.
I will say this. dropping off game night at late at night when there's not a soul around at some of these schools like Angola and DeKalb, West Noble. West Noble's got a new ticket booth entrance.
Nice.
Yeah, I might have driven up where I shouldn't have. I might have left some tire tracks last night on some fresh concrete. I'm sorry if I did. I actually signed the sideline Swami with my
Very
finger.
nice.
No, but the West Noble's new gates look really, really cool. They're not done yet, but it's going to be fantastic. All right, jump out of here. Maybe 3 minutes. Jackson, 2.5 minutes. Adams Central at Garrett. I think this is another fun game that, again, most people are probably going to think the Flying Jets are going to fly away with this, and they may. I know last week you kind of thought that they would, but I would not be shocked at all if the Railroaders rise up and find a way. Jake, why don't you start?
So let me ask you, Casey, what do you think that the Railroaders are going to bring that's going to keep them competitive in this game? I think coaching obviously is a big part of that. But what do you think?
Well, I think from a nutshell, I mean, just brass tacks, they were dinged up last year.
Totally,
they're healthy.
I agree with that.
I mean, in their opener, and they're very healthy this year going into this matchup. And Adams Central, let's face it, man, they were loaded a year ago. Not that they don't have great football players now, because they do. It's a system. Coach Mosher's really has a tremendous product there in terms of, the feeder system down there. But there's a lot of unknowns. I'm playing a lot of young guys, and even though the senior class is decent size, all 15 guys came to the photo shoot, which was fantastic to see. I think they have to be considered the favorite here, but won't shock me at all if Garrett is competitive in this game. They've got some really good football players, and you got a 3-year starter like Calder Hefty at quarterback. I'm a big believer in early season games given a little bit of an edge with the team that has the experience at QB. And so I think that, if they can keep, Adams Central's offense, that ground chewing offense off the field on the sideline, and they can have some long drives of their own, and especially if they get a lead early, watch out. I think the Railroaders could surprise.
Isn't it crazy how you win 95% of your games over the last 3 or 4 years, but then coming into the next season, you still have to prove it again? The classes move on, and we've got new faces and new names, and now it is AC, and we feel pretty good about them, but they've got to come back and show us what they've got this season.
And if they make another deep run, they'll have to beat more than likely a team called Indy Lutheran in the 2A title, but we'll wait on that one. All right, Jeff, let's you and Jake will take this next one. Cherubusco at Columbia City. I know this is a game you guys are doing, Jeff. Maybe about 3 minutes, Jackson. Jeff, why don't you start?
Jeff, you're a Busco guy now, bro.
I am a Busco guy.
Yeah.
We're still not able to stream over there, but I definitely live in Busco, and I definitely think that this is the year where the Eagles get back on track as far as the wins and loss column is concerned. Jake, obviously you alluded to, both you and Jackson, that maybe Columbia City will be down a little bit than where they were in past years. But I do like the returning quarterback, Grayson Bradbury, who's also a pitcher on the baseball team. But to bring back an experienced quarterback to go with Stratton Fuller, Stratton Fuller now ranked here in 247. I believe they got him at number 54 in the state, committed to Army. So it's going to be a fun game. It's a battle of South Whitley.
That's right.
Yeah, Stratton Fuller, I swear he played there during the Obama administration.
He did. He probably didn't. So, Jeff, I will tell you, you're going to have to show your support to the Busco football program this winter as they put on an ice fishing derby that benefits the football program, followed up by a fish fry. I will put you in contact with Coach Blake so you can check that out as a Busco native.
Do you guys have a wager on this game for like a cheeseburger at the Wand?
We should meet at the Wand after this game.
Jake will take the. I mean, you got to give some points here, don't you?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Columbia City has the edge, and this is a game where I have such respect for the Whitley County teams, including Whitco. And talking about Busco here, Columbia City should win this game, and they should win this game by 4 touchdowns or more. And that's no discredit or disrespect to Cherubusco whatsoever. You're talking about a 4A program with a lot of depth and a lot of pieces versus a 2A program. That's not to say that Busco's not going to have a good season here, because I think Cherubusco takes a step forward this season. They're still young. They're still a little bit small. But I watched a lot of their film lined up against Southwood and Whitco. It's still Busco football. They've switched back to a little bit of the old school Delaware wing tee from the gun tee Kenny Simpson stuff they usually run on offense. They're still smacking dudes on buck sweep. They're still lead blocking and pulling, and their guards are always nasty. So this can't be an expected win for Columbia City. I would say a reasonable amount would be 28 points or so in a spread. Obviously, Grayson Bradbury's a stud at quarterback for the Eagles. He threw over 94 miles an hour to showcase down in Indianapolis recently. Top-notch baseball player. Columbia City is starting to understand with their slot back positions how they can plug and play some guys. They did just get banged up a little bit on their line with one of my good friends, Caden Bonstedt. Get well soon, buddy. Had a kneecap dislocate, so he's going to be out for a couple weeks and be back. So they're down there, but other than that, I mean, Columbia City should be able to run the ball really well in this game, and obviously don't sleep on Stratton Fuller. He's going to run both ways and get after it. So
Jake knows a little bit about this program. Well done, Snake. It's going to be fun. And I think both these teams are going to have their highs and lows this year, but I agree with both of you guys. I think Busco, proud program, a tough year last year, but even though they're still young in parts, I think they are improved by the end of the year. Let's not forget, guys, they were beating Bishop Luers at halftime in the sectional opener and sent shockwaves around the area. Right?
If you want to talk about how to play proud football, every year Busco plays Eastside or Luers. You can't sleep on them. And one last note from me, this is an exciting game week because we actually have 2 employees. Coach Lee Blake is the O-line coach at Busco, and Coach Dustin Schrader is Columbia City strength and conditioning coach.
Nice. Who's winning in a fight between those two? Be honest.
Oh my God. I think they both submit each other and they both tap out at the same time. These guys are beasts. These guys are beasts.
Can we arrange that down here in the
We'll bring them to the cave and we'll get after it. They'd be down.
I'm all about that. I want to sign that up. They have to sign a waiver, of course.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. All right, let's get out of that. Jake, or Jeff, rather, why don't you talk 2 or 3 minutes about a couple of the other games? I kind of was thinking that Warren Central Snyder game is really intriguing, especially after what Snyder did last year to the Warriors. And then Cecina Concordia, don't ask me why. I think being here in town and Concordia, all the returning guys, the proud, tradition that they've have there, especially, with Coach Manigill winning a state title less than a decade ago. General thoughts on those two or anything else that you want to talk about, Jeff, for the Summit City sports games?
Yeah, for sure, Casey. Anybody that wants to see top level talent needs to go out to Wayne Stadium on Friday. Warren Central, yes, they lost last year to Snyder. Snyder blew them away in the third quarter. But currently, they have the number 1 player in the state in Damian Shanklin, an edge rusher from LSU. Number 6 player, Tyrone Burris Jr., going to Louisville. And then when you look at the junior class, they have J.J. Finch, who's the number 1 defensive lineman. So their whole defensive line is Power 5.
Yeah.
That's a little scary when you lose, Uriah Buchanan. They got Vance. Aaron Vance is now the quarterback, 6'3". Coach Tittman really likes him. Just his makeup, his character, his work ethic. And then Jordan Davis, the son of Courtney Davis. Casey, when you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with the run game, kind of feel good knowing that Courtney Davis' son will be in the backfield with you. I did hear Sean Connolly is at Snyder, but not playing football. And it's going to be interesting to see how Snyder does with so many guys going both ways. When you look at Calabote, Adam Blakey, Brandon Logan, Landon Fry, guys like that. As far as Concordia is concerned, you bring back Braden Corbett, your sophomore quarterback a year ago. So now he's going to be a junior. I really, really like this kid, Casey. I know his interceptions were a lot higher than his touchdowns from last year, but I think Coach Manigill in that junior class, with Victor Sawyer as well. I mean, in the skill positions, they got some really, really good pieces coming back along with Spielman, a guy that you really liked from a year ago.
Yeah. And they're physical, and all the lumps that they took a year ago that'll pay dividends this year. I mean, they should be more battle tested. Real quick here, guys. There's, you mentioned Corbett. The Jack Andrews is the senior quarterback. I called him the Leprechaun. I love this kid. He looks like the Leprechaun. After he's done at Concordia, he needs to go and roll at Notre Dame and apply for the gig up there because he's got great red hair, and we'll make sure we get him in game night this year. He can sling it, and so I still think there's a quarterback battle going on there, and there's a ton of weapons, and Avery Cook is a great 1A option. Jack Belchner not too far behind. Can they run the ball with some success, and can they stop people? The defense last year at times was really, really suspect. That's the area they really need to improve upon. And in this game against Cecina, if they can get some stops, man, we might be hearing some scores tomorrow night and thinking, okay, cadets are back.
Well, real quick, Jeff, back to you. I want your take on it. Looking at Dub C, Warren Central arguably could have the best defensive line in the state. That could definitely be debatable. With Snyder not having a Sean Conley type, they don't have a Langston Lavelle or Uriah Buchanan. It's going to be Snyder football. We're rooting them on for sure. We want them to win this game, being from our region. How are they going to penetrate that in their run game? This isn't the normal ground and pound Snyder team. They're going to be able to just trounce all over these guys.
Boy, you got to get your guys in space, don't you, Snake?
I think that's probably. Who do you think they're going to send the ball to most? Who's their best boundary player for the Panthers this year?
I mean, when you got Calabodi and Brandon Logan, I don't know if anybody watched the highlights from Wayne TV from last Friday, but Brandon Logan with 2 touchdown receptions, making it look pretty easy. Plus, they do return their leading receiver. I'll have to pull him up, but yeah, I don't know that you can necessarily just run the ball in between the tackles against, and that's what Snyder does against Warren Central. So you're going to have to get your guys in space. How do you create that space and how do you get them the ball? I mean, I don't know, Jake, is this a game where you're throwing 60 to 40% run? Could it be 70-30, which is really uncharacteristic for Snyder? I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting.
Well, and you got to get it out of Vance's hands quickly. Let's face it. Last year, the key to this game was one Billingsley at QB running. His ability to, when plays broke down, is the reason that, in my opinion, Snyder was able to beat Warren Central a year ago. Vance is not that kind of player, that kind of quarterback. I agree with you, Jeff. I think he's going to be much improved by the end of the year. I've seen that kid a lot as a freshman and as a JV player. He throws a good ball. He's a better athlete, I think, than people give him credit for, but he's not Cool Ron. All right. No doubt about it. All right, let's get out of here. Snake, I'm going to turn this over to you. You got about 2 minutes to talk about the Snake Eyes page in this week's game. Now, I thought it was a fun feature.
Oh, absolutely. And man, obviously I am a big fan of teams on the rebuild, and Southside is no different. I think they finally have the right head coach in place, which exudes discipline. Back-to-back Parkview Sports Medicine 7-on-7 small school champs, and doing it with guys like this, TJ Snow. Measurables at 6 foot. But man, when you watch this guy's tape, you really get vibes of a 6'2 fella. He's super long. I love his outside release. One of my best compliments about him on the offensive side of the ball is I love guys that are violent with their hands. And we try teaching this at a young level, clear down in youth and middle school, where if you're getting a DB that's going to try to jam you, break his wrists and get your separation and use leverages. I'm not saying that, obviously. Sorry. We got to do PG-13 for the 12-year-old.
What's going on over there in the Whitley?
We're drinking different water in Whitley County, baby. But we gotta break those wrists and use leverage to get our outside release. And that's what TJ Snow does. All the coaches have nothing but good things to say about him. He's offered early by Siena Heights, and I think that there's going to be more coming from him. Just talked to him on X a little bit. Great kid, super pumped. Book it. Southside is going to stomp the living breaks off Marion week 1 by at least 50. He's going to have 3 touchdowns.
Merciful heavens.
Book that. And then going down a little bit in the eyeballing section, this is a kid that I've coached since junior football, Sam Bean, one of the most high-motored kids that I've ever coached in my life.
I like the Beaner.
A quick story about Sam Bean. We played in a tournament over at Warsaw, and he was just absolutely killing everybody defensively, doing everything we asked him to, but he wasn't on the offensive side of the ball. He said, "Coach, can I just go in at tight end real quick and catch a touchdown?" And we're like, fine. He runs a little corner out, gets his 6 points. He trots off. It was great. And then Vance Dippenbrock, great kid. Obviously, I'm a special teams sellout. There's always going to be special teams players in the eyeballing, aka Jacob Gump from last year, Mason Smythe from Warsaw. But right here, a Bishop Dwenger kid that's a 4-star, Coles Academy long snapper. That's going to be a Division I snapper. And for all you guys listening out there, they're trying to get a college scholarship. Get on special teams. Be a kicker so you can go out, take 20 reps, and then go watch everybody play, and you can go play cornhole the rest of the day. Or be a long snapper. And a lot of times until they're sending A-gap blitz packages on you, all you're going to do is snap the ball back and drink Gatorade.
They can't
guys.
hit you anyway.
Work smarter, not harder, right? And then one quick shout out to a close family friend of ours, Jesse Sims at the bottom, who is our advertiser from Keller Williams Realty. A great family, awesome people, and we're super stoked to have some Whitley County royalty here in advertising and game night this year with Jesse. Her husband Chad works at Kelly Auto Group, is another sponsor. And then also shout out to Big G's, Gary Parrott over in Columbia City, the best restaurant in Whitley County. Go get yourself a haystack when you're down there. You'll thank me later.
Oh my gosh. I love their cheeseburgers at Big G's. I'll just say that. All right, let's get out of there. Great job, by the way, Jake. Thank you for that. As always, JT Snow, the son of JT Snow, who was one of the greatest receivers in Harding High School history. Just dropping that out there. All right, let's get to the back page. Let's talk some predictions here real quick. We don't have to necessarily go through all the games, but let's go through the featured games real quick. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Mike picks generally coincide with the Swamis, but not always.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that goes, Jake. Jake, I'm going to start with you. Leo at Luers. Swami says Luers by 3. Do you like that?
Well, considering that Coach Jonny Z is going to put me in a headlock if I say otherwise, I got Leo by 3.
All right. Well, Jeff, you kind of tipped your hand earlier. You thought Luers wins this game, and you think 3 points sounds about right?
I think 3 points is about perfect, Casey.
Okay. I think this is going to be a fun game, and definitely one that I wish I could be watching, but I'm going to be down at Brownsburg watching the Saints. New Haven at Northrop. Jake, Jeff, I'm going to come to you. Swami says Northrop by 2. You also think Northrop gets this done, don't you?
I definitely think Northrop gets it done, and I'm going to say 2 touchdowns.
How about you?
I think the skill position group from Northrop's a little bit too strong. I do have high hopes for New Haven as the season goes on, but I think Northrop by at least 7.
Well, if New Haven can run the ball and keep the ball out of David Callison's hands and that dangerous offense of Northrop, I still think the Bruins need to be able to run the ball a little bit tomorrow night, too, to win this game. All right, Belmont at Heritage. Jake, I'm going to come back to you. Swami says Heritage by 36. I don't know if that means Belmont missed an extra point or Heritage went for 2. What are your thoughts?
I obviously agree with Heritage winning, but I'd like to see that spread closer. I just want to see Belmont play a little tougher. I want to see that with like a 20-point spread and really let them rise to the occasion, build off that momentum as the season goes on.
How about you, Jeff?
2 touchdowns too many. I'd say Heritage maybe by 14 to 21.
Okay. DeKalb at Angola. Jeff, Swami says Barons by 14. Does that sound about right?
Yep, I like that one.
I agree. I think Angola's going to bring it. They're always well coached for week 1, but I think DeKalb's skill pieces and their running game is going to outdo it. I think 14's fine.
Coming right back to you, big man. Adams Central at Garrett. Swami got an upset special here. The Railroaders by 1.
Is the sideline Swami 21? Was he having an alcoholic cocktail that night?
He may have either that or he overloaded on the caffeine.
On the it happens. I get it. It happens to me all the time. I think AC wins by at least 10.
Okay, that's not too much. How about you, Jeff? Is this a blowout, or do you think the Railroaders got a shot?
Oh, I think they got a shot. I love it. Coach Depew. He's seen these guys for the last couple of years in the first week of the season. We know he's a great defensive mind, but yeah, Garrett by 1. Wow, that would be something else, Casey. I'm going to go with Snake on this one.
Okay. Last one on the featured games, and then we'll double on the bottom of the undercard. Jeff, coming right back to you. Busco at Columbia City. The Swami said the Eagles will win, and he guaranteed it. I don't know how he knows these things. Columbia City by 35. Is that too many in a rivalry type county game?
Yeah, I think it's too many in this one. I think this game's going to be sped up with all the running. Maybe Columbia City by 21.
Okay.
I feel the same way. One side note about Busco and Columbia City, useless knowledge that's great. 46 Graphics is a huge proponent of Busco Athletics and running around screen printing in Columbia City. Both of these sides have come out with some awesome game day t-shirts, aka 3 years ago, Feathers Will Fly. That's still one that I've got in my arsenal. Columbia City is going to win this by 22 plus.
Talons will be tangling.
Tangling talons.
Talons will be tangling on this one. All right, let's get to the undercard. Maybe each of us just pull out one or two games from below there, Jeff. Are there one or two that you want to tackle? Maybe, I don't know. I'll let you go. Anything? Maybe Warren Central Snyder?
Well, what I will say, Northside at Northridge, I think this is the year where the Legends go up to Northridge in their just absolutely beautiful facilities.
Yes.
With your football, softball, and baseball all being right there in the same place. I think Northside goes up there and shocks the Raiders this time.
Oh my.
I really love all the weapons that Coach Johnson has, and that defensive line is going to be stout with those defensive ends and the linebackers. I like Northside to upset Northridge.
Wow, I like that. You got one more that you want to tackle, that Warren Central Snyder game? Swami said Warren Central by 13. Is that too many, Jeff?
Yes, that's too many. I think that I hate to say, I think Warren Central is going to get the win in this game. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of points being scored in this one either. I'm thinking maybe like a 21-14, something like that.
You're going with the Warriors, though. And Jake, you mentioned earlier, might be the best defensive line in the state. It's the best defensive line in the country. I mean, really
it's arguable.
You're not.
You start going to like St. John Bosco and some of the.
Well, I mean, they've got
Aquinas.
4 D1 guys on their starting line, and not the SEC types,
right?
And then they've got also an offensive lineman, I think, going to Iowa. I mean, they're loaded in the trenches. But Jake, one or two real quick. I'm going
to go with one, and I'm going to take my love for Whitley County here. Prairie Heights at Whitco. So quickly, Coach McCray at Prairie Heights, the numbers are slightly up. I love what he's doing in the weight room in the offseason. He's excited, and he should be. He's a hell of a ball coach. Whitco, watched a lot of their film on their scrimmage tape. I love seeing them go back to their two-back pro-style offense. I'm going to say this game goes to overtime, and Whitco wins it in a barn burner.
Oh, mercy. You got another one you want to jump on?
No, that's it.
All right.
Whitley County for life.
I'll wrap this up real quick. I mean, there's a bunch of fun ones. Wayne at Indy Addicts, the 400th game coached by Sherwood Haydock. How cool is that?
Let's go, Coach Haydock. One of my favorites,
he shared that with me, and yeah, that's quite a milestone. And I think Wayne gets it done there by at least 2 or 3 scores. Dwinger at Brownsburg, I'll be at that one. The Saints got humbled last year by the Bulldogs. Brownsburg is loaded again. I believe they're ranked 3rd in 6A, tons of speed, and they're really, really big. I think the Saints don't have the speed to match up. Swami says Brownsburg by 33. I hope that's wrong, and then they play a little bit closer. And then the last one that I know we're all keeping an eyeball on and have special thoughts for Southside. They were so close last year to getting Coach Goodwell out of the gate against Marion. Swami says Southside by 6.
Yep.
I think the Archers get it done like 20-14, 27-21, something like that. So, Jeff, thank you. Thank you for joining us remote. Thank you, Jackson Geiger, over there in the engineer. Well done, young man, for your first maiden voyage. You did really good. Thank you to Coach Jonny Zolnik for coming over and bringing the root beer. And, of course, Jake the Snake Smith. I am Casey O'Boyle for the Killer Jays, and including Coach Jonny Zolnik. Yes. Until next week, everybody, this has been Around the Fort. Get out to a game next week, and we'll be back 1 week from tonight to talk about high school football and the 260. Good night, everybody.
Why choose Kelly Chevrolet? We offer a wide selection of new and used inventory with a team that guides you to your perfect fit. Our certified pre-owned options ensure peace of mind with warranties and rigorous inspections. Competitive pricing, flexible financing, and convenient trade and services, making your dream Chevrolet a reality. Trust our experienced service team to keep your vehicle in top shape, and enjoy free car washes as long as you own your vehicle.